Hello everyone and welcome back to my The Young and Restless 24 YouTube channel. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. At Crimson Lights, Summer tells Kyle she was just about to call him. Her mama has been set up. You're not indeed going to believe it. She was abducted. It gets indeed crazier. Sharon was taken and turned with her. They were locked up in an abandoned psychiatric clinic. Kyle asks who would do such a thing and why. Summer says they don't know it was and about plutocrat as no rescue demand was made. She explains that Nick and Billy set up them after getting a textbook indication from the kidnapper. Kyle sensations that it all sounds so crazy. They bamboozle over who would do commodity so crazy, and why. They're still out there, so what's to stop them from coming after Phyllis, Sharon, or another family member? Kyle's sorry Summer's family is being targeted. Summer thanks him for being so solid and probative. Thank you for minding so much about me. Kyle smiling into her eyes when Claire walks in. Kyle and Summer bring Claire up to speed on Phyllis's hijacking with Sharon. Claire knows how scary that can be. Summer sighs that it's been one thing or another, one psycho after another attacks her family. She's sure this had further to do with Sharon than her mama. Kyle reminds her they don't know the motive. Summer's glad they spoke to Harrison about it when they did a sprout at Academy, told him his grandma might no way come back. It just happened this morning. Luckily, they'd prepared him. Claire is glad Summer came to get Kyle when she did. Summer's glad she approves. Claire assures her kinsman that the evening still worked out for her and Kyle. It was a palm for everyone. Summer fixes a coffee with a pouty look as Kyle and Claire make plans to have regale latterly and kiss. Claire says farewell and she's glad her mama is back, and also leaves. Summer asks Kyle for lunch. They can talk about how awful their son is for an hour or two. Kyle smiles. At Society, Holden spots Audra and teases her about being fused to her phone. She snarks, "Aren't you supposed to be back in Los Angeles?" His flight was cancelled due to rainfall. She's glad the detention had nothing to do with her. However, he'd be lying if he said it didn't. Knowing he'd be stuck then for a while made him suppose of her. Audra reminds him that their history is just that, the history. Holden reminds her she promised to be a friend. Audra says it'll no way be further than that. He can't revitalize commodity between them. Holden insists he has nothing but respect for her connection with Nate, unlike how he felt about Tucker. He asks why she keeps pushing him down, yet accepts assignations for coffee. She's transferring mixed dispatches. Audra sighs. He's right. There's commodity I need to come clean about. Audra tells Holden that Nate saw his communication and returned the textbook saying, "You've got one," when he asked to have her as a friend. Holden asks why Nate would do that. Audra can only imagine he was trying to prove he wasn't jealous. Holden asks what she'd have said if Nate hadn't spoken for her. Audra's not sure. She's not opposed to having a fellowship with him, but she can't trust him not to take advantage of the situation. Holden gives her his word. Audra's still skeptical. Holden asks her to have lunch with him. Audra claims she's waiting for Nate. Holden says that's perfect, he wouldn't mind if he stays and joins her for lunch. Audra chides that he's pushing his luck. He smiles. At Nate's place, Lily is close to subscribing a new artist. Devin notes she's moving into his side of the business. She'll let them know more details when the essay dries. Devin's glad she came on board. Lily also has news about a big stint. Devin and Nate needle that she's just trying to show off now. A knock comes at the door. It's Damian. He asks Nate if it's true that his mama's been admitted to a sanitarium in Chicago. Nate frowns. Is she alright? Damian hopes there's no cause for alarm. All he knows is she was admitted. She said commodity about a new experimental treatment. Nate's taken suddenly. The last he heard, she was staying to hear if she was a feasible seeker. Damian thinks he's out of the circle. Nate checks his phone and learns that Amy and Dr. Kelly both tried to reach him. He steps out to call back. Damian apologizes to Lily and Devin for interposing their meeting. He wonders why they had to admit his mama so snappily. Devin thinks it's good they're not wasting time. Damian admits he's nervous. What if commodity goes wrong? Damian says he's been through this before, losing a parent too soon. It's traumatizing. Lily tells him she and Devin have been through it too, they understand. Devin thinks Amy felt confident enough to assent to the treatment. Nate appears and says that's right. They're treating her and covering her for a response. Dr. Kelly aloud. It's stylish to start the protocol right down. Damian worries they're rushing Amy into this, but Nate says she's in the stylish possible hands. Damian worries about not being there with her. He'd like to try and get there before it begins. Nate feels she'd love to have him by her side. He suggests they both go to Chicago so they can be there before she's released. Damian thinks that's a great idea. Lily and Devin assure Nate they can cover for him while he's gone. Damian tells them it means a lot that his family can be there with him. Nate announces he'll have to let Audra know he can't make it for lunch because he's going to Chicago with his family. At society, Holden tries to blandish Audra into another drink and she informs him he's trying too hard and won't be having lunch with her and Nate. Just also, Nate calls and updates her that he and Damian are going to Chicago. She knows Amy will love having them both there and asks him to give the woman her love. She disconnects and Holden muses, "It looks like you're free after all." At Nate's place, Devin asks Damian how he likes Genoa City so far. He finds it fascinating. It's hard not to fall in love with the people. Lily's sure it's far from the glamour of LA. Damian chuckles, easily, she doesn't know important about his life there. Talk turns to Amy having lived there times agone. Damian wonders why she left or didn't come back to stay. It feels like a good fit for her. Devin thinks he should ask her. After their father passed, there were a ton of questions they'd have liked to have had the occasion to ask. Damian is concentrated on her health for now. Nate appears with a bag and Lily and Devin leave. Damian asks Nate if they can stop by the club so he can get a bag too. Nate says of course. Damian shakes his hand and thanks him for everything. Nate smiles. At society, Audra and Holden move to a table and he pushes her again to have another drink. She resists and he muses about the fun-loving Audra from LA. She says that interpretation of her doesn't live presently. Holden doesn't believe her. Audra doesn't care. Holden reminds her of their boozy lunches at El Coyote. Audra groans and complains about him ordering margaritas by the ewer. Holden laughs about her singing Metallica songs at the top of her lungs. That was delightful. Audra laughs, it was. Just also, Devin and Lily walk in. They ask to be let in on the joke. Audra changes the subject to Nate going to Chicago with Damian. Lily says they just came from his place. Prelusions are made, and Holden says he met Lily ahead but not Devin. Audra hopes Amy's treatment will turn effects around for her. She's grown to watch about her a lot. There's commodity about her that warms her heart. Lily snarks that she seems lustrously recently, what with the laughing and joking. They gallop off and Holden tells Audra that it doesn't feel Nate's family has warmed up to her. At their table, Lily asks Devin what he thinks that was each about. Kyle and Summer walk into the GCAC and incontinently encounter Victor, who greets his beautiful granddaughter and says hello to Kyle. He asks why the two of them are together. Summer says Claire bailed on lunch with Kyle so she took him for a mercy mess. Victor asks Kyle how effects are going at Jabot. Kyle says effects are going veritably well. He and Summer head to their table, but Kyle walks back. There's no way he's happy. Effects are going well between him and his pater. At Jabot. Why is he asking about Jabot? What are you really trying to find out? He obviously wants to know if there's trouble brewing between him and Jack. What's this preoccupation you have with my family? Why can't he just move on? Victor claims he's forgotten about all of them and tells him to have a nice day. Nate and Damian walk into the foyer of the club and Damian heads upstairs to get his bag. Nate leaves Amy a communication letting her know he and Damian are coming to Chicago and will see her soon. In the dining room, Kyle complains to Summer that there's an ulterior motive behind Victor's every move. Summer concedes that he'd love to hear about any new pressure in the Abbott menage. She thinks it's substantially to do with his abomination of Jack, but she's sure Claire is a part of it now too. Kyle wonders why he cares if he and Claire are together. Summer admits, "I suppose my grandpa thinks you and I should get back together." Kyle asks if he really thinks he can push them back together. Summer says they both know how important he values family. Poking is what he does. He believes he's the puppet master and can mandate everyone's lives. Kyle asks why he'd want them together. Summer says he made a point of reminding her they partake a child. She's not championing for this, just interpreting what her forefather thinks. Kyle is sure she's right, but finds it illegal for him to put Claire in this position. In the foyer, Nate lets Damian know that he left Amy a voicemail. Damian thanks him again for all he's done. Now, they just need the treatment to work its magic. Nate knows this hasn't been easy for Damian, but it might have a happier ending than any of them could have imagined. Damian would like that. Nate blasts his shoulder, "Have faith." At society, Devon tells Lily not to read too much into Audra and Holden's lunch. They knew each other in LA. Nate doesn't need them snooping. Lily thinks this new script is coming into Nate's life from all sides. She worries it's an ambush and senses there's a lot further to the story than what Damian and Holden are telling them.